The following is rated not safe for work. It contains strong language, adult situations, and lots of spoilers. Discretion is advised.
In the criminal justice system, cinematic-based offenses are considered especially heinous. The dedicated attorneys who investigate these villainous films are members of an elite squad known as the Reels of Justice. These are their stories.
Order, please, order. The Reels of Justice is now in session. Judge Dylan J. Schlender presiding. Your eyes for the Honorable Judge Schlender.
Be seated. Welcome to the Reels of Justice. Today we are hearing the case of The People vs. Se7en, a 1995 crime thriller about two detectives on the trail of a serial killer who patterns his murders off the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah!
Sure. For those of you unfamiliar with our court proceedings, we are here to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. As always in this courtroom, films are to be considered excellent until proven awful, and the burden of proof lies upon the prosecution to prove beyond a shadow of a reasonable doubt that this film is guilty. Miss Kelsey Brady, you are appearing on behalf of the prosecution. You may present your opening statement.
Hello. Hi. Yes, this is Kelsey Brady, and I feel very deeply and strongly about not enjoying the movie Se7en. When I was in 3rd grade, I sprained my ankle on the way to the courthouse. We had this whole field trip, and I couldn't, finish the field trip because I hurt my leg. So I'm assuming how to do these proceedings, and I'm pretty sure most of how legal works is through feelings and emotions, and has very much to do with your gut.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I was hoping would come out in this court case.
I missed the rest of learning that subject, but yeah. So based on that alone, I will tell you, it made me feel bad, and I didn't like it.
All right. Thank you, Miss Brady. Appearing on behalf of the defense is Miss Emily Marsh. Please present your opening statement.
Members of the court, I have been wanting to hear this case out in a court of law ever since the prosecution, Kelsey Brady. We were on tour with a certain show. You guys might have heard of it, Mystery Science Theater 3000. It's, underground, totally worth checking out. Maybe.
Very niche.
It's fine.
Very niche.
It's fine. And I remember we were asked to present a bad movie. What is a bad movie that we have watched to present to this, group of people asking? And Miss Kelsey Brady goes, you know what? I'm going to say an unpopular opinion. Se7en is a bad movie. And from that day on, I have wanted to have this debate in court. I wanted to hear the emotions behind this hatred of Se7en. And I come prepared with facts to fight against Kelsey's feelings with cold, hard facts. But that doesn't mean that I'm not excited to hear this argument and to hear this movie put on trial.
All right. Thank you, Miss Marsh. Miss Brady, you may proceed with your first exhibit.
All right. Excellent. I can't wait. Just like I couldn't wait to watch this movie again. Even though I thought she was my dear friend, Emily, knowingly chose this I swore on my life I would never watch this movie again, and yet here I am.
We appreciate
that. Yeah, no, it was a struggle.
I feel nothing but pride hearing everything. This is exactly going according to plan. Sorry. That's my side of the courtroom.
No, fair enough, and you should take it as a compliment that I did agree to this, so that's something. Watching this movie once was upsetting enough, and one of my big arguments is, if a movie is good, you should want to watch it over and over and over, and watching it the second time was almost more upsetting, knowing what was to come. And yeah, no, so rewatchability, top, like right at the top, just sickening. And should I jump to spoilers? Can we just like?
Oh
Absolutely.
yes,
Am I
go
allowed
right
to-
ahead.
We have a
Okay.
spoiler warning in the
I think
beginning.
we've given
Spoiler.
people plenty of time.
Great.
Yes. Yeah,
I'm
Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. Go for it.
Stop that.
Dylan!
Okay.
Dylan!
I didn't know if I needed to like give like a little bit of a build up or whatever, but like what's in the box? We all know what was in the box. Her freaking head was in the box. So you've got a wife and a dead baby. So the introduction of the characters and how careful they are with making her so lovely and sweet and like introducing her, like she has no flaws. So watching that develop and happen, I was like, oh, this is making me feel those things from the beginning. So I'm sitting on that for the whole movie, watching this develop. And then also the whole point of the movie with the big shocking spoiler and the whole ending, you only get to feel that once in watching that. So watching it a second time, I will admit that it is interesting picking up on things that you're like, oh, I didn't notice that before, or oh, maybe so. But at the same time, you're sitting there going, I know what's going to happen. I already know what's going to happen, and I'm very upset by this, and it's making me uncomfortable. I don't even care. Like, I can watch gore, I can watch horror, I can watch thrillers, but when something is so deeply, viscerally upsetting, it just makes me, why did that have to happen? And it makes oh yes, jump in, please.
I was gonna. Well, let's let Emily respond to that. Do you think the emotional impact affects the rewatchability of this movie? Does it not have as much going the second time, third time?
So what I would say in terms of talking about the rewatchability of this movie and talking about the ending, as many of us may know in this courtroom, how many times has somebody screamed randomly, "What's in the box?" At some inopportune moment.
We're doing it
clearly
sometime. We're going to do it sometime today.
It might happen.
I only get a minimum of like 5 "What's in the box?" Clearly the ending of this movie sticks with people. And I think that has to go with just how carefully it is set up, how much you really are rooting for the good characters in this movie. Like sweet Gwyneth Paltrow, who I think this arguably could be said as her best movie. Take that, Gwyneth Paltrow Goop fans. Is like,
Ryan.
all she's doing is basically being like a sweet woman with no faults.
A lamb for the slaughter.
A lamb for the slaughter. But you know, I've seen horror movies before where you're like, I can't wait for that lamb to be slaughtered. But there is something about this movie that does still make you want to say, like, please, for once, let the box not have the head in it. And I would reference another great work of literature, a certain Romeo and Juliet, made by a little guy called Shakespeare. A play that has a tragic ending, but that somehow we still go back and watch time and time again. And so I would say that Se7en is similar, where even if we know the ending, even though we know that there will be a head in the box, we still watch. We still pray that there will not be a head in the box. And I would say that's actually a plus of Fincher's creation of this movie, is that they've still got you rooting and emotionally involved, even though you know what's going to happen at the end. I rest my case.
No, you don't want to rest yet.
Don't rest yet. Okay.
Okay, don't rest yet.
All right. So, Kelsey, would you like to move on to your next point?
I'll give. May I have 15 seconds to counterpoint?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
please.
Oh my gosh, please.
It's
Go.
your time. Use it as you see fit.
So Romeo and Juliet, as an example, or any of the other like victims of the movie, they had the flaws. You're almost like, it sure is a shame, but I get it. They're stupid kids. And it's almost like you love it like they had to die, because you're like, oh, what a sad and tragic but romantic ending. No, she didn't have to die.
That's true. Objection. But
Okay.
I would say that this movie does tend to deal in absolutes. We're obviously dealing with like a Bible kind of story. It's done in a sort of like broad spectrum of good versus evil. And so the idea that it's like you have the total like amalgamation, epitome of goodness and sweet blonde-faced little Gwyneth Paltrow. Who could chop off her head? Only an evil maniac.
Right.
Only Kevin Spacey, probably in real life now.
Probably,
now
yeah.
that we know about his.
I was gonna touch on that, but I think I'll separate the man
Phrasing.
from the work. Yeah.
True, even though, let's be honest, the man played a creepy weirdo really well, and we always wondered how he was such a great actor. And now we know. Now we know.
All right, I'm going to advise we move on from Kevin Spacey, maybe, and let's. Kelsey,
okay, I will segue into acting choices.
Okay.
And lead into my kind of surprising unbelievability of Brad Pitt. This might be controversial. I tend to enjoy his, I eat during scenes, and I'm a real guy being real. But there were a few deliveries where I was like, and I think because, I was watching this a second time and I knew that his thing was wrath. I was like, you're leaning hard into this. And I don't know why I didn't see it the first time, because it almost feels like he is like playing. It feels obvious to me, where I guess one could argue that I didn't notice it the first time. So I don't know. It has been a very long time since I watched it the first time, but watching it a second time, I was like, I think this seems really heavy-handed, and it seems very obvious to me right now. So,
Emily, would you like to respond to the lack of subtlety on Brad Pitt's part, if you think there's a lack of subtlety?
I think, I would even go into, I would say it's maybe a choice of this movie. That's how I would defend that point. I wouldn't say that Kevin Spacey is being that subtle in this movie. I wouldn't even say that Morgan Freeman is being that subtle. I randomly watched this movie right after I watched Shawshank Redemption, and I thought, I was like, man, this is a very similar performance in a different sort of setting. But I think both of them, all of the characters in this movie, nobody is really that nuanced or like, what am I trying to say? It's almost just like, oh, is Tracy Mills the like good wife to be slaughtered? Yes. Is Brad Pitt, David Mills, like the kind of like worked up younger guy with optimism but anger issues? Yes. And is Kevin Spacey the sociopath who like just kills people? Yes. There isn't a lot of like explanation in these movies for like in this movie for why these people are this way. I think they're all sort of supposed to be bigger than life is kind of what's set up in the movie. Like Morgan Freeman is the epitome of good, and Kevin Spacey is the epitome of evil. And then Brad Pitt is kind of caught in between them. And I wouldn't say that this movie is trying to create nuanced performances for the characters. It's more how they fit into the world of this movie. This sort of biblical, archetypal kind of characters versus something that would be like a character drama.
Wow,
all right.
My lady. No. I disagree somehow.
Good.
Yay!
As well you should. No, please, have at it.
Well, to your credit, this is all very well and good, and I even understand that I am entering into this knowing that I am probably in the minority when it comes to this. But my next point against this movie is really just, what is movies? Movies is escapism. It's entertainment. It's art. It's meant to be interpreted and enjoyed or not enjoyed by the masses, and then taken in, and it's in the eye of the beholder. And as I am the beholder for this particular work of art, um, as a consumer, it made me feel things that I only have a very short list of art that I've consumed that has made me feel such a way that I feel like I've been changed forever, in a negative way. And almost like, you accidentally see that piece of roadkill on the side of the road and you can never erase it from your brain. And it's so upsetting, and it's just burned into your, like, viscerally, just in your brain forever. So when it comes to this particular movie, by the time I was done with it, I said, oh my God, I will never be able to rewind my brain. I can return this movie to Blockbuster. Yes, I'm old. I can.
Was it VHS?
It might have been a DVD. It was in college.
You're
DVD movie titles.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Objection.
Enter.
What's the objection, Emily?
I was going to say is that my objection would be that I just want to point out that this movie has conveyed to the prosecution all these feelings of disgust and negativity. But I would say that that's a point towards this movie, in that it conveys that amount of negative feelings, and yet, all things considered, is actually not that violent of a movie. Like, all things considered, obviously, it's still rated R. I'm not delusional, but
but you see that stuff on SVU.
Come on. That's for kids stuff now.
That would be an interesting episode.
But this movie, for the most part, only shows you the aftermath or little teasers of violence that happens. Like, thank God Fincher doesn't make us watch Kevin Spacey saw off Gwyneth Paltrow's head.
You don't even get to see the head, yeah.
I mean, that would be a way more, honestly, hilarious and entertaining movie. This one, though, the negativity, the fact that it lets so much be imagined in your mind is, I think, what makes this thing really, really mess with you in the long term, which I think is something that is an argument that it is a powerful film.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, I have a response to that. I'll let you finish your thought.
No, that was it. I rest my case. Or not yet. I don't rest my case.
You got to stop resting your case. You can only rest it 3 more times. All right, Kelsey, what do you got?
So the point, like, Kevin Spacey's character, John Doe, his point was to leave his mark. Was to be remembered for his grand opus. So this movie succeeded in that. So, and he succeeded, and in the film itself, he finished because he was killed by wrath. So I think anyone who likes this movie is just as bad as him. Because you did it.
Oh, there it is.
Congratulations. You've left your mark in my brain. And you've shown me something terrible, and I will never forget it. So thank you.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to bring up before you rest your case?
I have a lot of feelings. And I like things that make me feel good feelings. Life is short and hard. Well, probably like Kevin Spacey.
Oh no! No!
All right. So let's just say. Okay. Thank you. All right. So, Emily Marsh, you may present your case in defense of the movie.
Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't help myself. See, this is what this movie does to me.
Burned into my brain.
So the prosecution has come up and spoke of feelings. I shall come up and speak of another organ, the brain. With my brain looking at this movie, there is a lot that makes it a good movie. on paper. We have an amazing cast. Kevin Spacey, Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, Gwyneth Paltrow, Fincher himself directing this movie. And this is about to set him on his course to make what I think is one of his best movies, which is Fight Club. That movie is a revelation, and I enjoy that movie so thoroughly. We have this core group of people who are just so talented at what they do. We have the movie itself that is just made with such painstaking detail. In research for this case to defend this movie, all of those really messed up little books from the opening were apparently all made by hand, by a person, by a prop maker, in entirety. This movie was lovingly made. It is a horrible, horrible film that was lovingly made to create negative feelings in the audience. And I think that's why it's endured, is because it's a good movie that really makes you feel bad things by making a lot of smart brain choices about what's inside of it. Also, I do love that this movie is, for me, I love that it embraced its 90s origins by having a soundtrack of 9 Inch Nails. It's just a great attention to detail. Like this is truly, from beginning to end, is supposed to be just a negative film that really just leaves you feeling crappy, but that's what it planned to do from the very beginning.
Boo.
I rest my case. And in simpler words, sometimes we have to feel bad things. No. Sometimes. That's it. Now I rest my case.
All right. Was there anything else you did want to say in defense of the movie before you rested?
Let me see. I mean, I think there's got to be something said for, going back to the idea that this movie is made with a lot of thought and with a lot of attention. Even I believe the prosecution did mention that rewatching this movie, there's a lot of things that are set up from the beginning. Also, for me, rewatching the movie, I noticed it. Like, I think there's a lot of things about this movie that you can go, did you notice? It rains during the whole movie, but then it doesn't in the final scene. Or did you notice that it's 7 days until his retirement? I say all of these things in a sarcastic voice, but it goes to show that clearly this movie was thought out. There's a lot of symbolism. And I mean, it's very captivating to watch. Even, I will confess, I watched this movie knowing the end. I knew what was in the box, and it was my first time watching it because it's just so prevalent. Like, who doesn't know what's in the box at this point? And I still very much enjoyed this movie and found it very, just visually very beautiful to look at, just for every shot, even if it was horrific. It's just a very captivating movie that doesn't have to rely on the thriller aspect of it. So it's definitely got rewatchability. It's got some great performances. It's got some beautiful shots and details. What more could you want? A happy ending? Boo! We live in the before times. We're all doomed.
Kelsey, did you want to respond to the construction of the movie at all before we move to closings?
No, because I would be hurting myself.
Well, fair enough. Both sides have presented their cases. They will now present their closing arguments. Miss Brady, you may begin.
I am a lover of art. I am an appreciator of all things creative and creativity. And I am also a squishy person who likes to feel good. And I think the world needs more things to make you feel good these days. So why not do that instead? Right?
Well, thank you very much. We'll let the jury decide, of course. Miss Marsh, you may present your closing argument.
I love that this argument is being set up as a I come forward and say, I am a lover of art that makes me feel terrible. Bring on the murder and mayhem and horrible feelings. But truly, as a person who does seek out murder documentaries that do sometimes keep me up at night after I watch them, I don't know why I do this to myself. This movie does stand out as being just an exceptional movie of really making you feel icky. It really does that better than any other movie, and that is almost, I think, the whole argument of why it is a good movie. Like, nobody could say they watched Se7en and went, it was fine. I felt nothing. That person would be a sociopath. There is no possible way. It has just been created too well to engage you emotionally in a negative way. I would also like to say that this movie does something that I really enjoy when it comes to serial killer movies, which is that I'm not a big fan of serial killer backstories. I don't really care. Usually they're repetitive. Usually they're about their mom or something. And I love that this movie does not spend any time on why these characters are this way. There's not a lot of telling in this movie. It's all about showing you images that imprint on your brain in a negative way that lasts with you for years, which is why this movie Se7en should be regarded as a good film that makes you feel bad.
All right. Thank you both. Members of the jury, Mr. Robb Maynard, Mr. Big Ben Haslar, and Mr. What's in the Box? Oh, it's Ryan Luis Rodriguez. You have all heard the facts concerning this case. It is now up to you to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. The bailiff will escort you to the deliberation room to render your verdict.
I wish this film would have gotten to the 8th cardinal sin of borrowing someone's Sting CD and not returning it, Mr. Maynard.
I did not.
You look like a Sting fan to me.
We're talking about the wrestler, right?
In a CD.
I think that's a
Sure.
weird guy.
There's a wrestler named Sting? Sure, why not?
Yes, Ryan. All right. Now, if you told me when we started this whole program that we would have put on 3 David Fincher movies on trial at this point, I don't. Alien 3 I might have seen coming, but I don't think I would have seen Se7en coming.
He is tied with Tarantino for the most appearances on this show.
Yeah, but the Tarantino's was head to head, so that
Still counts. Still counts. Still did.
Oh,
3
more than
Tarantino
James
movies.
Bond? Do we count James Bond?
Well, that would count as a franchise. That wouldn't count as the director.
Okay. All right,
Hey, am I in here too as the judge?
No, go
you're
away,
not.
Dylan.
So go
Get out
away.
of here, Judd.
You could get us some coffee though.
We'll
Ryan,
get a snack back.
what are you thinking? You hate this movie, right?
Yeah, I totally hate this awesome movie. This is one of the great neo-noir police procedurals. You can really sense Fincher being unleashed and supported after the confidence decimating experiment that was Alien 3. And it's a supremely confident work, which I think has carried over into his later films. But like Kelsey pointed out several times, it is a bummer. Like, it's a real fucking bummer.
It's a one fuck of a bummer, yeah.
I remember when Fincher's Girl with the Dragon Tattoo came out, and the tagline was the feel-bad movie of the Christmas season. You could say that about basically any David Fincher movie, and it would be especially apt for this experience. Like, I was dreading rewatching this because it does put that gnawing feeling at the pit of my stomach. Like, it's not horror so much as it's dread, and it's not really scary so much as it's uneasy, and I think that actually affects me more than if it was scary or if it was horror.
Yeah, I mean, Fincher obviously could have shown us scenes of kidnapping or the actual tortures, and he chooses not to. And
I'm sure that it's in the script. I can't confirm this, but I'm sure that there's some of that in the script, and he realized that the power of suggestion was more effective. Because that seems like a
it would
Fincher
ruin
like
it.
thing to do.
Same with revealing too much about his background. That would ruin it.
Yeah.
It's just a very great sidestep.
I'm sure all of that is in the, well, not all of it, but some of it at least is in the original screenplay. I'm sure.
Big Ben, did this bum you out?
It did, but it intentionally did so. So it definitely hit its mark. It's a film that stays with you for, a week after watching it, but that's what it's intending to do. So on that mark, it succeeds.
One point I really like that Kelsey brought up to me, which I felt during the movie, is Brad Pitt has a lot of weird deliveries in this. He's got some definitely some wooden choices. I don't know if maybe he had better takes they chose not to use, but there's a couple moments where he's really unconvincing.
Was there one in particular? Or?
There's it's sometimes like when he's annoyed around the coffee. I remember in the beginning when he's annoyed. There's a handful of them throughout the movie. His best part is actually with the head in the box. That's where he's great in that.
That's where he's
what's the fucking box?
Yes, but he's you believe him.
Box.
You believe that he's that upset. You buy that. But there's other times where I don't lose Brad Pitt in the role as much. And maybe it's just because he's in a scene with Morgan Freeman and Morgan Freeman's so much better than him.
This is relatively early in Brad Pitt's career, though.
Is.
Like, he still had maturity left to gain.
Well, he was the stoner on the couch already, right? In True Romance.
Yeah, so he has like 6 lines. This is a big step up.
That's
that's
his magnum opus, though. But
yeah,
that might be a good point.
Actually,
but I'd say that
his funniest role. But
it may be his earliest, but he doesn't have the chops that Freeman does to kind of carry it and be the other second guy entirely.
I think that's fair. That's fair.
But a point I like that Emily made was how bigger than life they may be intentionally, because this is not a realistic film, right? I mean, John Doe would not have gotten away with any of this, and he probably wouldn't have been able to kill any of these people in this manner. It almost none of them would have worked out.
Yeah, this is realistic in the way that Lethal Weapon is realistic. It's not. It's a movie. You got to kind of just go along with that, or don't.
And so
it's entirely up to the viewer.
And so, what do you think the point of the movie is? Is it to bum you out? Is it all about just building up to the big, shocking reveal at the end?
I think it's an expression of a very pessimistic worldview, but I don't necessarily think that it's one component. Like, I think that it's a juggling act of a few balls, a flaming pin, and then a chainsaw. And all have their different intentions, but ultimately it all blends together as this one thing.
Maybe a machete dildo?
Maybe a machete. Yeah.
A machete dildo.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Are there any other kinds?
Difficult to juggle. I'd hope so. That's... So what are you thinking, Ryan? Let's have you lock in. You seem controversial.
Oh, do I? Oh, the mischievous grin is growing on my face like the Cheshire Cat. I love this movie, but because I have a feeling I think I know where this is headed, I'm gonna go and stake my claim and say guilty.
Come on.
Based on what?
Based on how I know you guys are gonna vote, so I'm gonna go guilty.
Well, all right. Well, Big Ben, are you gonna seal this film's fate?
No, I think every point that was raised by the prosecution, the defense had an answer for, and it is a very powerful film. It is hitting its marks for what it wants to do. So it is not a guilty film, and it is rewatchable, very much so for me. Even though it is a bummer, it makes me feel the same way it does after those serial killer things, where you kind of want to make a better world, kind of in spite of this darkness. So it's not guilty.
All right. I totally respect Kelsey's choice to hate this movie. I think movies that make you feel bad, you should totally be able to hate. But I don't know that makes it bad necessarily, right? Like I might hate a certain food, but because it's not to my taste, but that doesn't make it bad necessarily, right? And I think it is a movie. Sometimes, to Emily's point, we need a movie that will bum you out when you want to be bummed out. Because sometimes we want to be bummed out, or we're already bummed and we don't want to listen to something super bubble gummy and sweet. We want something that'll let us wallow in our darkness and sort of resonate with us. This movie is very good at that, and so I am going to go not guilty. So let's get out there.
Wow.
And hey, you said guilty, so I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. So let's get out there and tell that very handsome judge. Very handsome judge.
You're still the foreman, aren't you?
I don't say
Oh, yeah, but I
first.
have to... You're right.
You're a bad foreman and a bad judge.
You're not wrong. All right, everyone, settle down. I couldn't find the coffee shop, so... Mr. Foreman, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. In the case of The People versus Se7en, we find the defendant not guilty of being a bad movie.
Oh, this is ridiculous.
A win for bummer movies everywhere.
All right.
Hooray!
Order in the court.
I'm full of wrath.
The verdict is so rendered. Se7en is free to go, and we all look forward to the sequel, 72.
He's gonna kill again!
Court is adjourned.
See, I thought you were going to say the sequel 7-2.
No,
it's 72.
That's strange.
Because it's 7-2, but I'm reading it, and it's these are the jokes, man.
They're not solid. They're not solid.
These are this is what we got.
All right,
Could
Big
go
Ben.
with 8. I mean, 8 is the obvious answer.
8.
But...
It's too obvious. It's
9.
72 is funny.
What about 10?
Who's doing the interview?
We all
Get out of my court!
Way to go.
Ben's
Get
doing
out
the
of my
interview.
court!
Ben.
What about heaven?
This is Loudy McLoudmouth reporting to you live outside the fantabulous Reels of Justice courthouse. It's always raining out here. Why the heck is that? Good thing I'm never without my trench coat and galoshes. No matter, here comes Kelsey Brady. Wow. How do you lose a case like this? My mind is blown. Blown, I tell you. Can I get your thoughts on this verdict?
It's ridiculous. Things shouldn't make you feel bad.
I feel bad all the time.
I know. and you love that, don't you? No, you don't love that.
I do. Well, thank you very much. That's going right to the top of page 6 in our journal for sure. But wouldn't you know it, we also have Emily Marsh here. The courthouse is just like a clown car. Excuse me. Emily, would you mind enlightening our readers on how you feel about this stunning case we just witnessed here today?
Wow, just so proud. So glad that justice was seen. And I'm just glad to be in a court of law defending Kevin Spacey. That's just really where I want to be.
He needs
Don't we all, sister? Well, there you have it. You heard it here first, folks. This is Loudy McLoudmouth signing off here from the courthouse. Now time to go to the studio for post-trial analysis.
Readers? We have
Can
readers now?
Can we get Ben the Martian back?
Yeah. Right,
Come on.
Right, I gotta say, I think Mumbly Mumblerson might have a gimmick infringement suit against Loudy McLeod.
I don't want to say, I don't want to confirm anything, but it's possible.
Can I say something?
Please do.
Sure.
I hope it didn't seem that I was enjoying this too much, because I was. I was there.
If you could be found guilty of having a good time.
Yeah!
Lock me up.
So, Kelsey, I know you hated the movie first time you see it. Did you like it more the second?
So, no, but I will, in all fairness, I appreciate the opportunity to be forced to watch it again, so that I could really pick up on the stuff that was really beautiful, the film noir, the angles, Emily said it really well, and I didn't, want to agree with her, but the heavy-handedness of a lot of it, where it's like, no, I am emotionally manipulating you, and I'm good at my job. So I really was having a hard time coming up with anything really that sounded educated without just going, I feel bad, because that's really what it came down to. And
movie no really, good. Me no like movie.
Me no likey. And I'm like, come on, girl. I don't think I've ever related to a character more in my life than when Brad Pitt was like, Spark Notes. This stuff sucks. I gotta read the Spark Note. I was like, wow. The relatability, so strong. And even I don't know why, but even after the movie was done and the credits started rolling backwards, I was like, shut up, stop making me like you.
Like that
So
weird kid in school.
Yeah,
so
me.
I do this is what they grow up to do, either kill people
Or start
start
podcasts.
I'm not
podcasts.
saying I don't kill people, but you know.
Oh, fair enough.
Hey, whoa.
He's not saying it.
We have taken a turn.
Actually, it's par. It's par for the course. But now, great trial. But what have you guys been up to lately? You guys were on some sort of a tour. You and Emily, Kelsey and Emily.
Oh, something
I was there.
like that.
A
That's
quick
true.
whirl around
It
the
is-
block.
When you're done with that tour, because I can't express enough to people how you're just operating with sleep deprivation basically for 3 months because nobody can sleep on a bus. I refuse to believe that anyone's getting the best sleep of their life on a moving vehicle that like hits potholes and things like that in the middle of the night.
Climbs icy snow mountains.
Oh.
Yeah, icy snow mountains, sway. Oh my gosh. But yeah, the tour was fantastic. Other than the sleeping, everything was great. But yeah, similarly, it's funny to think the whole thing seems a little like a sleep-deprived fever dream, whereby we also did not have to cancel any shows because of COVID. Crazy.
Yeah, there was one because of the icy roads, though, right?
Actually, technically, there were 2 because of the icy roads.
But
that was because, look, sweet listeners, you can be the judge of us. It was because somebody had the great idea to book us to drive from Portland to Boise, Idaho in like the middle of January. And surprise, surprise, there was snow and like 3 passes we needed to go through.
Was it Joel? I bet it was Joel.
I refuse to believe Joel does the booking.
We love you very much.
So I mean, that was your least favorite story. Do you have a favorite story that each of you?
Ooh.
Meow Wolf.
I don't
Meow
know what
Wolf.
that means.
Oh,
It's
Denver.
that's just
Denver.
buzzwords.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Ben was at the Denver show then.
I was, yeah.
Oh, right on.
And Kelsey, I saw you play Crow, right? In
Oh.
that one.
Goodness gracious. What a
Also a
delight
high
for you.
point.
Well, we should have given that context, right? Kelsey, you were an understudy, so you basically had to know everyone's part, yeah?
Yeah, everything except for Tom Servo. I would, if that need should ever arise, which it did briefly. I jumped back into Crow, and things were shifted around. But I also learned Emily's role and Mega Cynthia the Mad. So
And actually, I will say one of my favorite memories from tour. The first one was that I got to perform on my birthday and have a huge theater full of people in Chicago sing me happy birthday, which was exactly how I pictured it when I was a 3rd grader and a loser and no one would talk to me. I was like, one day thousands of people will sing happy birthday.
One day Chicago will sing happy birthday to me. How oddly specific, baby Emily.
But my other favorite memory was our final show where Kelsey had the brilliant idea to basically dress up in all of the understudy costumes that she'd never had to use. And so we had like double Emily's running around backstage, and then we come out for intermission and there's double Mega Cynthia's running around. And then, of course, because it was the final show, and of course at that point all of us are just like, well, let's just embrace the mayhem.
who's gonna stop us?
Basically, what are they gonna do? Fire us? That audience got to see mini Mega Cynthia run out at intermission. I can't even quite remember what you guys did, but it was hilarious.
It was
so
almost
funny.
like I was an incomplete clone that didn't really speak. I just stood there and waved, and she like carried. Yeah, she
The
carried
alien
me off
resurrection.
stage, literally.
Mega Mini Cynthia. No, that sounds great. Yeah, we saw it in Boston, so we had a great time on that.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Very
yes.
funny show. Making Contact? Is that the...
Oh
Yeah.
gosh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, I think the title slips out of it. But anyone who hasn't seen the movie should see it. Roland Emmerich, and
I
it's
guess.
Always good things are associated with Roland Emmerich.
Yes.
Stargate's
see it Rift if you can.
Absolutely see it
Well-
Rift. I hope maybe season like 14 or something. Maybe they can do it. I don't know.
Well, you've heard the fan theory that we came up ourselves in the cast, which was that is Moonfall, that movie, was that a subtle dig at MST3K for riffing, making contact?
Start the rumors,
And then he made it a
folks.
bad movie just so we could riff it?
Man, I liked Moonfall. I got everything
first.
I
Emily
wanted.
Marsh confirms that Moonfall is in fact a response to Mystery Science Theater 3000.
It's
I could
canon.
buy that. I could buy
I can
that.
neither confirm nor deny. My favorite was that Joel was also convinced that Roland Emmerich was going to come see our show in LA. And we're all like, well, there's no way. There's no way he possibly could. But then the LA show did roll around, and I was like, is he out there, guys? No? Yeah, that'd be dumb. Why would he come?
But he could have been. You
He
wouldn't
could
know.
have.
He could have been.
He was wearing a fake
incognito.
beard and some fake glasses, like he always does.
If he wanted someone to really not notice him, he would have been dressed as Roland Emmerich.
No, he'd be dressed as Dean Devlin.
I don't know what that means.
It's his
co-producer.
That's great. Now we've got exciting stuff coming up, right? The season 13 public launch should be coming for Mystery Science Theater on the Gizmoplex.
Yeah.
Yes.
That should
Tune
be,
in on May 6th.
May 6th should be the technical public availability. So if you guys missed, anyone in the public who missed the Kickstarter but wants to see all of the movies that'll be released over the year, there's already been 2 that were Kickstarter exclusives, but on May 6th you'll be able to catch up on them. And there's the Treasure of El Santo and the Treasure of Dracula. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's such a crazy title that I can't remember it. And Robot Wars, which is, I'll tell you, Robot Wars is a new classic for sure.
Absolutely.
That's gotten huge hype.
Gosh.
But May 6th will be the public. May 8th, just 2 days after that, it'll be the premiere of Beyond Atlantis.
May
May 20th.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys are allowed to tell me who's going to be the main riffer on that one yet, but maybe tell me after if there's anything
Whisper it in her ears.
exciting that I should be expecting, because there may be
Any of you wearing a wire? Oh, wait.
I am wearing a lot of underwire, but it has nothing to do with bugs or anything.
He's just wearing the gift that I got him for Christmas.
Exactly. But then May 27th will be Munchie. June 10th will be Dr. Mordred. June 24th will be Demon Squad. And then July 22nd will be Gamera versus Jiger. And so lots of stuff.
Finally.
You're like hitting.
Been waiting since 1991 for this. Oh.
So you're prepared to be disappointed, right?
I feel like I'm getting punched in the face with nostalgia every time you name a new movie. I'm like, oh yeah, that one.
As well.
Oh yeah, that one. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, and plenty more. They'll be rocking all the way into December, with a lot of special episodes. And Emily, are you allowed to tell us how many you got to host?
Oh, that's a great question. I think
that's pretty vague.
I think the answer is yes, I'm allowed.
some, not many.
Guys,
but
follow the
not
clues.
little.
It's 7.
7 episodes. Oh, 7 of them.
They figured us out. I have to say, I admire you.
Oh no! Kelsey's gonna take your place. Well, we'll write to Joel and we'll try to get Kelsey in some of the episodes too as mini Mega Cynthia.
Oh my god! I look like Meg Ryan in that wig.
Perfect.
That's
all
true.
Right.
So you guys should find that photo. We need to publicize that more.
Spread it around.
Like Must Love Dogs, Meg Ryan, or she's
mail, Meg Ryan.
I think you've got mail for sure. You've got mail.
All right, excellent. But yeah, and then tons of other movies. You can all check them out. You can go download the app, which I believe is called Mystery Science Theater 3000. If you're looking for it on Roku and Amazon Fire and stuff, it is called that. Or you can go to gizmoplex.com and you can check those all out. So they're coming, and it's going to be exciting, and we can't wait to see all of them. And we always ask for recommendations from our guests for movies that you think people should see. So Emily, you get to go first. What is a movie, since you won, what is the movie you think that our listeners should see if they haven't?
Oh man, one that we watched on tour. Kelsey, you're gonna laugh because we watched it on tour. I fell in love and have watched it twice since then.
Oh my God.
Is a Chuck Norris classic, Invasion USA.
No.
Oh, yes!
I don't know what it is about that movie, but I watched it and went, why have I not watched this multiple times already? And I have now proceeded to show it to multiple people.
Oh, God.
And I just cannot get enough of that movie. Also, the fun fact that Chuck Norris wanted Whoopi Goldberg to be the lead, the female lead in that movie.
Like, is that a romantic opposite? Is she the villain?
So she's like she's the reporter who's trying to get the story. And it's like actually not a romantic lead. It's just sort of a comic bit, I guess. Basically, it's kind of a know-nothing role. But if Chuck Norris had his way, it honestly, that like knowing that Whoopi Goldberg could have been in that movie, that's the remake we need. Invasion USA, done right, with no CGI.
No,
just
you could CGI
exploding American
DH her.
suburbs.
I'm typing in the Kickstarter bid. Let's see.
Invasion USA 2, Back in the Habit.
Sand. Yeah.
Oh, God.
No, that's a good one, and I feel like it's got to be worthy for being riffed one day too.
What? It's perfect. You don't riff good movies, Maynard. Come on.
You're right.
At some point.
What they're doing, Gamera. But no, that's a cool
Yes,
one.
they are.
Kelsey, what is your recommendation for a movie that people should see?
Well, I can't shy away from my favorite movie, and hopefully you all have already seen it, and it'll just make you go, "Oh, I should break that out again." Is Robin Hood Men in Tights?
Oh, I should break that out again.
Yeah, see there, yay, it worked. It did it. Also, if you one that you probably maybe definitely haven't seen is because it was just Easter, the Bunny Picnic starring Bean Bunny. It's an old Muppet.
Oh, Bean Bunny of the Muppets.
Yeah, so not a lot of people have seen it. I think the full thing is on YouTube. I don't know. Go buy it because it deserves to be seen.
How many death threats did Bean Bunny receive?
He's just
Not enough.
unpopular opinion.
Jeez.
He just wants to help.
Yeah, no, I like Bean Bunny. He's in
He's
Muppet
cute.
Christmas Carol, so I'm
He's
all
the
down
best
for him.
part
But
of Muppet
Ooh.
Vision 3D.
Yeah, you
I
can
love him in that. Oh, so great. Love
blow
that a
Bean
video
shit
game?
up. And he's got a whole movie. So
but
go
back
watch
to
it.
Robin Hood Men in Tights. Why is it your favorite movie?
Oh, why is it my favorite? The fact that my parents, my very conservative parents, allowed us to watch it repeatedly growing up, I still will not understand. But yeah, that was the number one quoted movie. We sing the opening rap together. It's a good old family jaunty time.
Jaunty.
And I
be-
was able to say things like boobs and not get in trouble because I was like, I'm quoting that movie you let us watch.
Oh,
Let's be honest, Chelsea.
Chastity belt? What do they do?
Yeah.
Is
Or
that probably the only Chappelle movie your parents have ever seen?
I honestly can't say that I've ever seen any other.
No, they love
anything
Con
Chappelle
Air.
related. Yeah.
They love You've Got Mail. They're big You've Got Mail fans.
It would be great if they
yeah.
liked Half Baked. That would be good.
Oh,
All right, Dylan, you were our heroic judge. What is your recommendation?
Yes, I was a hero. Thank you. So, in keeping kind of with the theme of Se7en, I am recommending another movie with a crazy killer who's pursuing a cop, and that's Ricochet, starring Denzel Washington and John Lithgow. John Lithgow plays the sociopath who's basically trying to derail and ruin Denzel Washington's life through various conspiracy and murder plots, and it culminates in a fantastic climax with the two facing off against each other. And it's a little more on the cheesy side than a movie like Se7en, but it does have a lot of weight because you really believe John Lithgow's crazy.
Now I want to see Se7en with John Lithgow.
He would have been
Ooh.
so good. People don't. Maybe people do realize that John Lithgow is a fantastic actor, but he has tremendous range. He's very tall. He's just fantastic.
He's very rangy. Because he's tall. Yeah, he's long.
Yes,
Very
exactly.
rangy. All
He
right.
can fit a lot of characters in there.
Yes, you can.
Ryan, what's your recommendation?
I know my good friend Big Ben here is not fond of the multiverse and its many permutations,
He is not.
but my recommendation this week concerns multiversity and the unique and divergent storytelling that it allows for, and it's a recent release called Everything Everywhere All at Once. We are truly fortunate as a human race to have one Michelle Yeoh, but this film gloriously presents us with an even greater fortune, infinite Michelle Yeohs, including one with hot dogs for fingers and one who is a rock with googly eyes. This was my most anticipated film of 2022 so far, and it did not disappoint, offering some genuine heartfelt emotion to supplement some truly adventurous filmmaking with inventive fight sequences incorporating everything from fanny packs to butt plugs. Everything Everywhere All at Once may not be playing in theaters when you listen to this, but in case that it is, it's an A24 masterpiece, so it'll probably be streaming on Amazon Prime or Hulu soon.
I almost graduated from multi-university, but it did not work out.
I
like that you went with an A24 movie, because my recommendation is also an A24 movie.
Twist.
You know, the killer in today's film had a pretty holier-than-thou attitude, didn't he? And coincidentally, the killers in my recommendation this week have some similar problems, along with some unresolved issues with aging and regret. And I'm, of course, referring to 2022's X. Some good old Texas folk head to an isolated farm to film themselves one of them smutty movies, and the elderly property owners don't take too kindly to the way they flash about their naughty bits with so much candor. It features Jenna Ortega, Kid Cudi, who I'm told is some sort of hip-hopist, and Mia Goth, who plays dual roles as both one of the smutresses and one of the old folks. And
don't forget Brittany Snow. Brittany Snow.
And don't forget Brittany Snow. I didn't, but I did. But now, and she has a great scene with a pretty gnarly alligator. And if you like your horror smutty or your smut horrific, then I guarantee X is going to give it to you. See, that's a hip hop song, Ryan. You see what I did there? X is currently available for rent and purchase at all the usual venues. Big Ben, why don't you send us on home?
I feel a little bad no one did the Shawshank Redemption. I was just sure someone would. But anyway, I'm
Emily already name dropped it.
Yeah, in the case. But anyway, I'm going to go with another detective thriller, but this one done by acclaimed director Akira Kurosawa, and that's High and Low. This film takes us bowels deep into the high-stakes cutthroat world of professional shoemaking. Toshiro Mifune plays an executive at a cobbler company who's secretly planning a takeover by buying up all the shares to gain control. But right as he's about to make his killer blow, a kidnapper mistakenly snatches his little boy's best friend, thinking it was the heir himself that he was abducting. What follows is a cat and mouse game between the police and the kidnapper, who always seems to be one step ahead, despite that one mistaken identity goof at the beginning. All of this done with Kurosawa's revolutionary directing and eye for contrast, light, and reflection. If Hitchcock is at all up your alley, then give this one a shot as well. You will not be disappointed.
Good
If you
movie.
want to get
Good
to the
movie.
top of the shoe business, you have to be ready to sell your soul.
It's true.
Ah, come on.
Hey.
I liked it, Rob. I liked it.
You were going to tee it up. It's right there. But no,
That was a
fantastic
little tongue-in-cheek,
recommendations.
Rob.
See, now you're on the trolley. But great recommendations all around. And with that, we are all at a show, but we want to thank our guests, Kelsey and Emily, for joining us. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah. Thank you for settling this debate that started months and months ago in a public forum for everyone to listen.
Yes. The airing of the grievances. And we're all going to make sure to check out for May 6th for the public release of the Gizmoplex. And May
I know
8th,
I will.
May 8th for the first movie, Beyond Atlantis. And we're all looking forward to that. And I'm sure Joel will take you guys out on tour again almost any day now, right?
Oh boy!
You know, they keep threatening that, so we'll see what happens.
I believe it.
Going from Portland to Washington, D.C. this time, make fun of my...
Exactly. We're going to Everest. We're playing a show on Everest now. Smart Alec. But thank you so much for joining us. We will have you back hopefully sometime soon. And we hope everyone else will join us again as well as the reels of justice keep turning.
Count it.
Boxes.
Please follow us on Twitter at Reels of Justice, Instagram Reels of Justice, and Facebook.com/Reels of Justice.